customer service, done right, can be your company's single biggest competitive advantage. Welcome to the Customer Service Revolution. Join customer service authority and best-selling author John DiJulius as he interviews leaders who are revolutionizing their industries. This is more than a podcast, though. It's a movement. The Customer Service Revolution is a radical overthrow of conventional business mentality designed to transform what customers and employees experience. If you're a revolutionary customer service leader who's ready to stop competing on price and obsessed with building a brand that people cannot live without, this podcast is for you.
Hello, revolutionaries. I am John DiJulius, Chief Revolution Officer of the DiJulius Group. And today I am so excited for this episode. I got Mr. Arnie Malham. Welcome, Arnie.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. It's always a huge thrill to get to hang out with you. You may not know this, but you gave me my first big speaking opportunity in Cleveland. And from there, I've ruined many audiences. But my first exposure was with you. I've learned so much. I've stolen so much. And I'm thrilled to be hanging out with you today.
Yeah, well, I'm going to talk about that first speaking experience. So let me tell you a little bit about Arnie. His bio is long, and it's pretty cool. He is a serial entrepreneur, has built at least 3 companies and sold a couple of them off. He's the best-selling author of one of my favorite all-time books, Worth Doing Wrong. Love this book. We're going to talk about the book. And today, Arnie is a culture consultant. And that's what I think of Arnie. He is just the most amazing expert, practitioner, and now speaker and consultant on creating world-class customer service cultures. He is the founder of CEO of BetterBookClub, where he helps companies, leaders, and individuals build a strong culture that both attracts people and rewards those who seek personal growth in organizations. A couple other things before we get in. Most importantly, his wife, Ann, he has 2 amazing kids. Sydney is a world-class athlete, soccer player, got smart and came to the Buckeye State to play for OU. And did you get her season this year, Arnie?
Yeah, she's a Bobcat in the Buckeye State, right?
Yeah.
No, we're hoping for a season this year. You know, a lot of spring athletes were tremendously disappointed.
So I'm so bad. When is soccer? Spring?
No, it's a fall sport. It's just like football.
She did get last year in.
Yeah. She's 3 years in. We're hoping for her senior season, and we're just can't wait to cheer for her and the team as they go forward.
Did she redshirt at all or no?
No, this will be the 4th of her 4 years at OU.
How are you prepared for life after soccer?
Well, I got to get through this year, but yeah, it's we've spent it's not it's never one moment. These kids work from age 8 to 10, they start working towards these dreams of being a D1 athlete, and it never ends until you play that last game, and it's going to be emotional for everybody, and we just hope to cheer her through it.
I know when my oldest was wrestling in college.
Yeah.
The first 3 years, I would just get sick to myself before every match and be like, oh my God. And I actually got some perspective. And I don't know if it's a little different wrestling because it's one-on-one, but I actually got some perspective, his senior year. And I said, you know what? If you would have told me, 15 years, when he was 6, 8, 10, that your son someday will be relevant, meaning top 10 in the country, I wouldn't have believed you. And then if you would have said, and you would have been so nervous to enjoy it, I was like, you crazy? That is a dream. And I really had to tell myself that. And I was thinking, dude, this is going to be over in a few months. And we've been doing it, like all parents.
Yeah.
And I did sit back and enjoy it a lot more than just be like, oh my God, if he doesn't win this match today, it's going to have irrevocable, damages for the rest of my life, right? And keep it in perspective. All right, so Sydney, did Brick finish Northwestern, your son?
He's at Northeastern in Boston, often confused, but Northeastern in Boston, they're both in their senior seasons or senior years, and he's just loving Boston, loving Northeastern, loving the opportunities that their system provides.
And how's Katie doing?
My dog is 12 years old. Thanks for asking. And she's my best friend. She's right here. She's right next to me over here. and she's hanging. She loves work from home. Katie loves work from home.
Oh my God, that's my biggest thing I've said. I'm actually in the studio today, but my dog has not left. He comes to the bathroom with me. And I'm thinking, when life returns to normal, if ever, I don't know how he's going to handle it. I mean, 24/7, he doesn't leave my side. All right, and the last, you have so many more accolades, but the last accolade that's probably defined your career and you finally accomplished something is something that really pissed me off. So, as you know, we've been having the Customer Service Revolution Conference every year. I think this year is our 12th or 13th. And we've always had two types of speakers. One, best-selling authors, world dominating, experts. And then we've always brought in brand executives. So we've had, someone from the Ritz-Carlton, someone from Zappos, someone from Chick-fil-A. And because I got the pleasure to work with you and saw what you were doing in your company, I'm like, I got to bring Arnie in as a brand executive. And, and every year the scores would always be the big speakers, professional speakers would always rank higher. And then the brand executives would come up. But we knew that they weren't professional speakers. And Arnie, you came in and you were the highest rated speaker we've ever had. And it personally pissed me off because that's what I do every single day, every single week.
Yeah.
And, here's a CEO that, jumps on a plane, flies to my event and does it for an hour and beats us all. So, I was pretty sure it was beginner's luck or he said something so I brought you back like 3-4 years later and you outscored it then. But I will say by then you were a professional speaker. But
I was on it. The key is set the bar low and then just jump right over it, right? Just for the accolades.
Oh my God. That is a true story. It's a true, and it really did bother me in a jealousy sort of way, right?
I appreciate that. That opportunity to share what we were doing to the crowd that you had gathered there was an honor for me. I'd learned first. I spent the first 2.5 days learning from all the other speakers, and then got the chance to tell my truth. And it was just a fun experience, put a smile on my face, and just what an honor to hang out there. And I come back to your conference often. You've had so many great people that we both know and are friends with come in and deliver knowledge and gets absorbed at different levels. But what a great gift you give the world every year when you bring the team together.
Well, I appreciate it. And we go way back. I'm thinking like 2005. And I respect you as an entrepreneur, as a husband, as a father, and as a friend. And I love it. But I want to stop teasing our audience because there is so much to share. I've also have written about you in every book or the last few books I've written. And to the point where I was worried you were going to, get a cease and desist. And I just love everything about it. But let's start. Arnie, you started off the first company I know of and that I worked with you at is CJ Advertising. Tell me what CJ stands for, because I never understood that.
Well, the CJ is just some initials that happen to stand for a nickname in college. I was a brown kid growing up in a very segregated white town in rural Arkansas. Ended up at Ole Miss, and one of the first people when I was hanging out with some redneck friends from Texas, this fella pulls up in a pickup truck and looks out the window, looks at us and says, "Hey, camel jockey, go home." And I look back at him and I look back at my friends and I thought, who's he talking to? And my friends from Texas just laughed and laughed. They said, "Man, he's talking to you, camel jockey." And I said, no, I'm not a camel jockey. I'm a redneck like you guys. And they just laughed and laughed and laughed. And I became their camel jockey friend from Arkansas for 4 years at Ole Miss as I went through that institution. And so when I got out of school and moved to Nashville, started my own company, I decided to name it CJ Advertising to honor that fine friend in the pickup truck from many years before at Ole Miss.
I love that. No, I was going to say, it might not be what you mean, but to me, it's kind of like, a screw you, pal, but I don't know. I just love that about you.
I believe difference sometimes better than good, and anything that can make something stand out and people remember and a story to tell. I think it all sort of comes together. But CJ Advertising, again, another different story. People think, an ad agency, how much fun is that? And we had a lot of fun at CJ, but our client base at CJ were all personal injury lawyers. We represented lawyers from Connecticut to San Francisco, from Houston to Minneapolis, every major city, we had a lawyer, and our job was to make that lawyer liked, appreciated, needed, and a big hit in the community. And we worked hard to build those lawyer brands. But no matter how much I talk about it, it wasn't a place where people just said, oh, I can't wait to work for an agency that works for personal injury lawyers. And our job was to create a culture worth working for, even beyond who we worked for. Once we got people in, we could tell them the story, tell them about the good that lawyers do and how they help people and how they help change the laws that keep us all safe. But to attract the right people, we needed a culture first mentality. And that's our story, and that's what Worth Doing Wrong is about. And it's sort of the business I'm in now.
And making lawyers likable, that's a BHAG right there, right?
Yeah. People want to, it's kind of like, you hate Congress, you love your congressman, you hate lawyers, but when you need a lawyer, they're your best friend. When someone you love is hurt and needs help, a lawyer can make the difference. And we represented them well, but again, we had to get over the hurdle of people's first impression. So
let's talk about, it seems like your theme in a painful way is getting it wrong, right?
Yeah.
And so tell our listeners, our audience, about how you got it wrong in the beginning and how you're able to pivot and learn from that.
Well, whether you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or you work for one, you've probably experienced what I'm going to tell you is that we get our education, we get our job, and we start working someplace, and we learn a lot from where we work. And we typically end up not really liking, or we can end up not liking where we work. We don't like the things that happen. We say, if I were the boss, I'd never do that. When I'm the boss, we're not going to have those rules. When I'm the boss, we're going to do these kinds of things. And then you get your own company, or you get to a place that you think is going to be this utopia, and you turn into the bosses you never wanted to be like, right? We basically, whether we know it or not, we learn how to be the boss we don't want to be. And so what I found myself, it's why do we become the parents we are? The Geico commercials, complaining about the house, complaining about this, complaining about that. So we have to find a way to overcome that. And my way was to simply do it wrong until I got it right. And that's how we do that
consciously, or how did you figure out?
No. I did it the way it has to be done, right? Which is it had to be painful enough. People had to complain. I had to be upset about stuff. I had to complain about my team and my clients and the industry. And I had to be upset about everything that stressed entrepreneurs get crazy about. And it was you, John. You came to speak to our entire client base in 2005, and you were giving a speech about customer service, and I was listening, but I wasn't listening. Right. You were there and you had slides and you were doing what speakers do. And I was thinking, this is great for them, but it has nothing to do with me. And then you said 3 words. You said in the middle of your presentation, you said, culture reflects leadership. And it hit, and I was like, whoa, what did he say? Culture reflects leadership. Wait, who's the leader? Oh, I'm the leader. Oh, schmo. Like everything I was complaining about, my people, the industry, what people did, what they didn't do, it hit me in that moment that everything that I didn't like about my company was my fault. Not my team's fault, not my client's fault, not the industry, not the competition, my fault, because I got the culture I deserved, which was that was by default and not design. And it was that moment that I realized I have to change who I am to have the company that can truly be successful. And I've taken that, I've stolen that message from you in 2005, and I've made that my message to every entrepreneur, every leader, internally or externally, that will listen to say, culture reflects leadership. Let's make you the leader you can truly be, and then your culture will be one that you're truly proud of.
There's a lot there. I love it. So you basically embraced wrong, right?
I decided that everything I put off was because I was trying to get it right. Everything that let's do this. Well, it's not quite ready. Let's any program, any opportunity, I would put it off because I couldn't control it. I couldn't get it right. And I just made a decision that we were going to try a lot of things. We were going to get some stuff. We're going to be successful. We'll be unsuccessful. People are going to fail. People are going to be, but we're going to get it wrong on our way to getting it right. It's about creating a checklist for everything you do and improving that checklist every time you find a better way.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes to that is, if you wait till, I'm butchering it, if you wait till you're ready to take the training wheels off, you'll never take them off.
Never do it.
And, get out, do it, and then fix it along the way.
Right, right.
And we're so scared because I think the enemy of execution is perfection, right?
Yeah.
Progress
Absolutely.
over. I hate that quote that, the one you said I said, and culture reflects leadership, because it is so annoying to me, right? I'll go home, sometimes and be like, oh my God, I got the dumbest, worst leaders. Like, I can't believe they're not motivated. They asked me today where we're going as a company. And I'm like, dude, in January, we had a retreat and I posted our vision. Like, do we have to have a retreat every month?
Yeah.
And then it's like, I always say that culture reflects leadership is like that song, if you're on hold and, you hear Barry Manilow and maybe you wouldn't, download him in your iTunes. And then you can't get, oh, Mandy out of your head for the next day. I said, that's what culture reflects leadership. So then I'm like, all right. Let me do the acid test. All right. Culture reflects leadership. It doesn't apply to me. And then I start thinking about it. And like you, it's the most humbling experience because I haven't been present. And when I have been, I really haven't been. And I'm a taskmaster and I'm coming in and saying, Arnie, right? Why haven't you? And where is this? And where is it? And you're like, well, John, you've given me 10 number one priorities. And, whichever one you choose, I'm going to want the opposite.
Yeah.
And then I start thinking about, well, if I'm expecting visions on a whiteboard or in a manual to motivate you, and I'm not modeling them, I love Winston Churchill once said, more gets caught than is taught. And again, those are painful things. And I hate that quote today because it usually comes back on me, more times than I like it, of like, you know what? My leadership team is pretty damn smart. They're pretty motivated. I'm the energy sucker.
Yeah, it's a painful message to accept. It's all, I'm lucky enough to speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, and it's a painful message to deliver. Like, folks get mad because we all want to blame something else, right? We always want to, it's not my fault. It's our fault, right? My favorite, when we're in leadership meetings and someone says, well, they have no idea, like blah, blah, blah. They have no idea. I'm like, well, have we told them? Like, have we told them? Have we repeated it enough? We took on the challenge of what's called morale survey, which is every month we ask our entire team. We had 220 team members. We say, hey, what's the best place to work, worst place to work? Where do we rate right now and why? And we got this raw feedback every month about who we were as a team, as leadership, as a company, where our culture was. And in every case where it was negative feedback coming back, it wasn't their fault. What did we not tell them? What did we not ask them before we did? What did we assume that we shouldn't have? What have we not communicated in a way that helps them understand? Like, it was always, you go through this period of hearing the complaint, being mad about it, trying to blame someone for it, to realizing it's your fault. And that is the leadership lesson that I continue to preach, is that look within yourself for the leadership to develop the culture that you want. It's not the other way around. People say all the time, I gotta go find the right people. I'm like, hey, let's create a culture so the right people find you. Like, it's a complete mind shift from trying to get the right people to solve your problem to creating a culture that attracts the right people to solve your problem.
I love that. And to your point, I always say 99% of customer challenge, employee challenge, kid challenges up to a certain degree comes from managing expectations, right? And I wasn't clear. I was clear in my head. I was crystal clear in my head. Yeah. But I've been doing this for, 10, 20, 30 years, and you're a new employee that's been doing it a week. And right. And the other thing I love, I always open up, every presentation asking, if you're going to build a world-class organization, be it an advertising company, a salon, a hot dog stand, what's more important, A, the hiring of new employees, or B, the culture and the training you bring them into. And I say, before you answer this, I'm going to tell you the obvious answer is both, right? You got to have both. It's like if I said, if you want to be in the best shape of your life, what's more important, your diet or your exercise? Well, both. You can't be, but in this, I want to, give you, 1% more. You got to give me 51%. And usually the audience, and I say there's no wrong answers, but they usually say, B, culture and training. And you get a lot of people say, no, it's a hiring. And I say, listen, Disney didn't find 50,000 cast members born to serve. I don't think there's 200 human beings walking the planet, but they got them in their culture and they put Disney in their people instead of putting people in Disney. Right.
Yeah, it's a constant game. And as a leader, we all have these businesses or these divisions, and there's a share of opportunity there. But that they say that the constraint on any business is at the top. The constraint on any bottle is the bottleneck. And typically the leader of a department, a division, or a company, the leader is the constraint on that whatever that business or opportunity is. And so that the leader has to grow, and the leader has to realize that if everyone in the business or in the group doesn't grow, it doesn't matter. And so it's about creating growth.
You found out the hard way, you were the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were churning employees like I have, blaming it on the employees. And I always say, when everyone else is wrong, I think that's telling me something, right?
Yeah. And it's tough because there's high stress. I call a solopreneur starts to find success. They start to do something well and get revenue for it, and then they want to hire one person to do one thing. And it's all about handing off things that you are not great at, and you keep the stuff you're great at, and you hand off the other stuff. And it's a little small business. But at some point, that entrepreneur has to give away the things they do best so that they can grow the company. And that's when a small business starts to have scalability and growth, is when the founder and entrepreneur is not doing the stuff that they do best. They're growing people to do those things best. And that's sort of the transition that entrepreneurs have to make from small business to big business. But again, it allows more room at the top for growth. It doesn't constrain the growth the way most of us have done on our way up.
Well, whenever I get asked, what's the biggest mistake as a business owner, I'd share, I'd be like, how long do you have, right? Too many to choose from. But I think the one I consistently come back to, which is really where you're going, is every time I've compromised culture, it's always hurt sales. And, the other quote I always use is, nothing will ruin your company's customer experience faster than rapid growth. And, rapid growth is our dream. It's so seductive, but then you wake up with that coyote ugly of who are all these people? And, back when we first started, we, 30 years ago, we needed a receptionist. Oh, we interviewed 15, 20, and found the perfect one. Well, now jump 7 years later, and we need 50 people. Because we're opening locations and we're both. How many think we're interviewing? 53, and we only interviewed the 3 extra because they didn't want the job. And so let alone I hired you, not because you were the best, because you were the best of the applicants. Not to mention, I'm ignoring the C- player that has been working here for 2 years that's killing the culture, and people are quitting because of her, right?
Yeah. Maintaining a culture, hiring a team, everything's a full-time job. And as the company grows, the more the founding owner or the fewer people trying to do all those full-time jobs, right, just the worse it gets. And so it's about, the concept of so grows the team, so grows the company. It's not so grows the one person, so grows the company. So grows the team, so grows the company. And so everything we did in our culture, our core values, growth, confidence, respect, we worked around growing team members as human beings first, by the way, John, right? First, grow as human beings. Be a better parent, be a better spouse, have less anxiety, be healthier, be the best human being you can be so that you can come to work and be the best team member you can be. And that was built. I'm not saying it has to be in every culture. It's how we ran our businesses and how we found the most growth in our opportunities.
So, Arnie, I want to get specific because, right now we're still talking about platitudes and culture first.
It's easy. Yeah. Woo.
Right. And what's the amazing thing is that, you went from obviously doing it wrong to just crushing it. So, all right, I'm a small business. I can't afford to compete. So literally, we have Progressive Insurance headquartered in our backyard.
Yeah.
And people could, for my salon business or even in the DiJulius Group, people go work there and probably get $2 more an hour to answer phones there than maybe we could pay. And they have on-site daycare. Their benefits are freaking ridiculous. Their campus is, just, so how do I compete? You talk about creating a culture that rocks. So give me some specific things because I don't have those deep pockets.
Yeah.
And I love something that I wrote about in my book. You share 7 commandments for creating a culture that rocks. I don't know if that's where you want to start, but I love, and where I'm headed is you have simple, dumb things that we could all be doing that I've copied.
Yeah. Well, I think you can. And I think that the things I'm going to tell you, I'll talk about a little bit today will be stuff that not a big pocketbook, doesn't require a huge investment of time in people, but it does require the right mindset. And so just to jump into that a little bit, we found 3 things that make sense in almost any business and allow you to compete with any business. Is number 1 is give your people a voice and listen. Right. And so many times we want to do all the talking and we want to do all the preaching, but we found that if we gave our people a voice and we were willing to listen to them, we learned a ton, right? Not only did we learn a ton, but our team felt listened to. And ask anyone, do they want to feel heard, right? The answer is usually yes. And so the way we did it is through morale survey. We ask our team every month. Some people do it every quarter. On a scale from 1 to 10, best place you've ever worked in your life that you can imagine working with being a 10 and 1 being the worst. How do we rate? And tell us why. And listen to the good, listen to the bad. We responded to every comment so to make sure that our team members knew they were heard. And so that's opportunity number 1. Make sure that you give your people a voice and that you listen and that they know you listen, right? And so there's a lot of ways to do that. We did it through morale survey, but there's other ways to do it that I talk about in my book that I'm going to jump to the next thing. Number 2, cheer for your people's success on the team and off. As a leader of your company, of your division, of your group, the number 1 thing you can do to create a good working environment for your team is to cheer for them. Cheer for them in their workspace, cheer for them in their life, help them grow as human beings. Our team doesn't care about us until our team thinks we care about them. And we can do that through programs like BetterBookClub, where we encourage reading within every individual, not to tell people what to read, but to allow them to read anything they want to make them a better human and be recognized and rewarded for that, right? It allows us to do things like send birthday cards home to their kids on their kids' birthdays so their kids think of work as a place of good things and not a place of where mom and dad goes and they're upset about it all the time, right? That the good things happen. Create a work environment that people want to come to work in. You don't want them in their car in the parking lot with their hands on the steering wheel going, oh, I can't believe I've got to go in here today. You want them in their car thinking, I can't wait to go into a place that's clean, where there's stuff in the kitchen, where their bathrooms are awesome, where the people around me are cheering for my success, where I'm respected, where I'm heard. Create that environment and work becomes a great place to be, sometimes a better place than home, right? And so
escape.
Cheer for your people. Even when people left our organization, we would send a gift to their new workplace and tell them that we wish them all the success in the world going forward. We did that because we genuinely cared about the person, and we wanted the folks around them to see where they came from and the type of place. We're always recruiting, right? We're always looking for talent. And just because someone leaves to go to a different place doesn't mean there aren't people there that may be able to help your organization. And so we constantly cheered, we constantly helped, we constantly supported our team. Number 1, give your people a voice and listen. Number 2, cheer for your team. And number 3, say yes a lot. We all get stressed as entrepreneurs and leaders, and it's easier and faster and sometimes even feels better just to say no so you don't have to deal with a problem. I got a better idea. Say yes and delegate that problem to someone else to get solved or to figure out how to do it wrong until they get it right. Say yes a lot. It reduces stress for you. It reduces stress for your team. It makes them feel heard. It makes them feel valuable. Those 3 things. And in the book, there's literally a list of things that we did that represent these 3 areas. Things that don't cost anything, things that are posters on the wall, programs that are run from within the organization.
They're in my book because I copy. I give you credit, but I mean the surprise beer carts, the Better Book Club, free postage, Dream Manager. We'll get to that. I mean, there's so many, but most of them, I love it. I just quoted you in my book, just re-quoted you on social media and loved it to this point of saying, say yes a lot. Because we're so worried about getting taken advantage of. And you say, don't make rules for the masses based on the sins of a few. And then what I really like is when, everyone was, loving that quote, you came back with another quote that I wrote down. Do you remember it?
I have to look and see what I said. Yeah.
Some about, if you run a company with a policy handbook, instead, you should have. So say it better than me.
Well, here's what I will say: is that oftentimes we if you have more pages in your policy manual than you have team members on your team, you might want to rethink that policy manual, right? You
renamed the policy manual to something.
We shredded our policy manual and went to guidelines. Guidelines to give people a sort of a railing as opposed to rules that trap people.
Right.
And what we did, we totally scrapped our. By the way. What happened was my son came to work at the business for a little bit and was making fun of some of the things in our policy manual because he knew I didn't believe he knew me and knew that I would never support that. So then I actually read it, which was an accumulation of things that happened over the years. And I'm like, this is crazy. We shredded it and we came out with like 3 or 4 easy pages and we put them on the wall in the office as opposed to it being bound in something you never read. And so I go into that story a lot in the book, but it's about creating guidelines for success instead of rules for failure. And we do it all the time. One person does something wrong and we create a rule. And no one cares.
Now we punish 98% of our employees or customers to, try to catch that 1% to 2%.
Yeah. Yeah. I love you talk about when somebody's trying to use an expired coupon. Let them. It's okay. It's like there's no reason you're embarrassing them. It's not worth it.
Right. What was the point of the coupon? To get more business. Well, then why? The expiration was only to create a sense of urgency, but we don't have expirations.
Right.
So I love it. Something about the 3 things: give your people a voice and listen. Cheer for your people's success, personally and professionally, and even post-career. I love that.
Yeah.
And say yes a lot.
I want
to go back to 1 and 2. This is something that just dawned on me with all the social injustice and social responsibility. And I've been watching a lot of videos and trying to, get more educated. And there's, my favorite videos that I'm sharing, that have really taught me of these great leaders. I saw something common that kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. And I always thought a great leader comes in, talks and motivates and tells people. And I'm embarrassed because what I found that these great leaders were doing during these confusing times is they were asking questions and admitting they didn't have the answer. And, and so I wrote this quote down, which is kind of obvious, but it wasn't obvious to me. Great leaders listen. You don't have to have the answer. Arnie, tell me more about whatever that may be, and that's where you say, give people a voice and listen. But where I think a lot of us struggle is, Arnie, I have employee surveys twice a year. How do we really do something about those answers instead of just saying, well, I haven't looked at them, but I can pull them out for you and show you. How do you really listen and show that you're going to take action? Because I think a lot of employees, even mine, have said, I'm not answering this. I answer it every year and nothing's ever changed.
Yeah, that's right. And that's called despair, is waking up the same way, doing the same thing every day with the same result. Like you get so frustrated, so you just stop trying, right? Here's what we did. We did it monthly because we wanted to be very in tune with what was going on. We didn't listen. I didn't read them by myself. I read them with both my leadership team and members from the front line of our organization, which was incredibly important because many times we didn't know what the leadership team had no idea what the comment meant, but the people on the front line, they know what those comments mean.
Were they anonymous?
The comments were anonymous, yes. The third thing is a response in real time to every comment to the entire organization. So we had 220 team members. We'd have, 30 or 40 comments per month. Every comment got a response, and that response wasn't a knee-jerk response. It was a response that the team came up with in terms of how we wanted to respond to this particular comment. So every month, our team submitted ratings and comments, and they got the response. So every team member got every comment and every response. So again, they can see they're being heard. They can feel they're being heard. And that gave us the momentum and the change agent to move this thing forward. And John, we went from really serious problems in terms of how our system wasn't working the way we thought to really petty problems, petty things in the morale survey. And people would say, well, how do you put up with this petty stuff in the morale survey? I'm like, dude, when we have petty problems in the morale survey, we know things are going right. When people are complaining about the toilet paper and occasional parking problem, we know we got management, leadership, culture, and values all right. It's when people are complaining about their boss, their job opportunities, their past, and the clients is when we know things are really wrong.
And the hardest thing is, and we do this in every facet of life, can I give you some criticism? Sure. And then as soon as you give it to me, you start defending why, well, you think that because, or, and it's so bad. It is just so, like, I was just telling someone, the quarantine's been good to me. I've lost a lot of weight. And they said, well, what'd you do? And I said, well, I've been doing this intermittent fasting. I go, but the funny thing is, it took me a year because I'd asked someone, you lost a lot of weight. Yeah, I've been doing this intermittent fasting. And the first, I love breakfast. I can't do it. And then somebody, no, I could never do that. And if you tell me you're on the paleo, I would find something wrong with that diet. I love dairy. I cannot give up dairy. And it's the same thing with criticism. Yeah. But, even when we look at surveys or customer feedback, your knee-jerk reaction is, well, hold on. Sometimes you can't please everyone, or they complain about everything, or we told them to put that away.
Yeah, we told them in the memo. How come they don't know, right? Because you didn't tell them in the memo and via video message, and you didn't have it on the wall when they walked in. It's your fault. Like, you didn't tell them enough. If they don't know, it's because you didn't tell them enough. But John, I can't stress enough. It's the courage to let everyone on the team see every comment from the team and every response, because otherwise they think you're hiding things or burying things. The response makes all the difference in a survey, no matter how often you do it, and the willingness to share all the information. People say, I can't do the survey. I know what they'll say. You need to do the survey. I can't share back the comments. I mean, Fred didn't know that Susie was upset. Fred knows that Susie's upset. Go ahead and put it back out there. Make it transparent. We tell every company to fight for transparency, fight for flexibility, and fight for action. Like these are sort of the new, sort of what's expected in this new world order. Teams want transparency so that they know where they're headed. They want flexibility to get their job done, and they want you to take action and not get back to them in 6 months like a government agency.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I even wrote about that, quoting you in the Customer Service Revolution, which I'll get to in a second. But you're right. I think we've all been guilty of getting on the bandwagon, and I added a ping pong table in my corporate office and a hoop and all those things. And while they're fun, if I'm, being an energy sucker versus an energy giver, if I'm saying, Arnie, why haven't you versus Arnie, you've been crushing it, you don't give a crap about the ping pong table or that. I mean, all of a sudden, 50 cents an hour or, a better flexible schedule starts sounding really attractive.
Yeah. I think there are symbols of culture, like our bookshelf was a symbol of our culture. A foosball table or a ping pong table can be a symbol of culture. But if that's all you have, then you don't have a culture. It's not substantive, right? It doesn't work for you. And so the key is to have both, right? The key is to pay all you can, to recognize and reward all you can, and have the important symbols of culture that reflect your values and reflect the kind of place you want to be. And so for us, a clean kitchen, I know that in this world, a lot of people are remote and it's like some of the things, but a clean bathrooms, quality toilet paper, that was part of who we were. It doesn't mean it's part of everybody, but pick your things and do them great and show your people and your team that you care about them and that you care about where they work and so that they have an opportunity to do their very best.
I love this. And we're going to have some of your best practices and a link to your book and your new business, which I still have so many things I still want to talk to you about. I love this. I've been multiple times to your different offices. And the cool thing about, walking into your place is there's just an energy, a spirit. Like I don't have to take a survey. You feel it. And from walking in and having a sign that says, CJ Advertising would like to welcome John DiJulius, a picture of me, and, the front desk receptionist who's never met me, but now she knows what I look like. And as long as I'm not wearing a UPS uniform, there's a good chance that the guy walking in at 11 o'clock is John DiJulius, right? And and just walking throughout, I mean, you make a culture of fun. I think it's kind of black and white where like, if this type of work atmosphere doesn't turn you on, and I'm sure in your interview process, people are like, dude, you're a little over the top. I just want to answer some phones and, and it weeds them out because it's not like it is a cult in a positive way that people love coming there. And, if that's not for you, you're an extra thumb right away.
John, it's attract or repel. It's attract or repel. We don't care which one we're doing, but we're either attracting people that are like us, or we're repelling folks who don't want to play that game. And yes, we welcome you when you come and you have an appointment, or not. We know when you're getting there, but we do similar things for the UPS guy you mentioned. Like every delivery guy gets offered a cold drink. We make sure that we're welcome and we're smiling, and that we treat everyone, vendors, visiting guests, with this massive amount of respect. Our goal is that when they leave, they go tell someone about hanging out with us. We have quarters stacked up on the counter to go pay the meters in case you don't have any change. Just take them. Like we do everything we can to make people to be remarkable, to have something worth remarking about. And you go back to sort of knowing it. Our common friend Jack Daly said, you can smell culture when you walk in the door. You can, if I come stand in your huddles and walk into your place, I get a sense for who you are. You do the same for us. And you know immediately whether it's a place of high energy, low energy, or some lost somewhere in between. And you come to recognize it and respect it.
Well, that's why, one of the best things we've ever done, since we opened our first business almost 30 years ago, is we typically go through a minimum of 4 interviews. But the most important one to us is the second one, which is an on-site shadow day. And that's not for us. That's for you. Because like you said, every interviewer or boss Arnie, this is the greatest place to work. We sing Kumbaya. We hug each other. And, we make more money every year than last year. And that's not true. Not always, right? And so we always say you have to come in for a shadow day. And like in our salon business, it had to be Thursday night or Saturday afternoon, because that is when we're the busiest. If I had you come in on Monday, well, there's 3 people here. We're running on time. Everyone's happy. No one's stressed. And that would be such a false impression, but you come in on Thursday when we're running on average 20 minutes late. We haven't had hot water, for the last hour. People are stressed out, and you're going to hang out and you're going to walk out of it exactly what you said. This is not the place. I don't like how they talked to each other. The clients are not, or you're going to be like, oh my God, like that energy, that was chaos, but that was like organized chaos. And that's what I've been looking for. And that's where, people, opt out, but thank God they opt out, because otherwise you find out in 3 months, like this isn't the place, and then we both got to start over. Yeah. And no one wants that.
No one. It's bad for everybody. Yeah. 100%.
All right. So in my, the Customer Service Revolution book, I love this. I use this in all my presentations. In my zero risk presentation is the total transparency. Now, you've talked a lot about it for your employees, but you used to do this. Arnie allows his customers to publicly post their satisfaction scores and share feedback. Now, what I believe when we say publicly, I don't think that was like necessary. They could if they wanted to, but you weren't creating a Yelp for them. You were creating an internal Yelp, meaning if I was a CJ advertising law firm, monthly or quarterly, you'd review me. And then that post, I'm unhappy. I'm very happy. You guys have been unresponsive. You're growing too fast. I get a different person every time. Whatever it was, you would post that so all your clients would see it and they could jump on the bandwagon. They could say, me too. Or like you said, some of them would diffuse it for you and say, I haven't been getting that experience. I think they've gotten better the last 3 years than worse. Yeah. And before you answer, I love your quote. I said, I've never heard of such transparency. I asked Arnie about this, and he said, most people say I need to have my head examined for doing this. I love it. But then you go on to say, however, we like the pressure of knowing if we don't take care of our customers or don't react when something goes wrong, it will be made public. Arnie, I that is talking dirty to me. Like I love that philosophy. So go ahead.
Yeah, and it's not just transparency across our clients, but it's also transparency within the organization. From leadership to the front line, everyone saw those comments and had a chance to create a solution, a response, have energy, emotion around it so that we could work on it together. So yes, across clients, that client number 27 who's not willing to say something, even in what he believes is an anonymous survey, knows that it's been said. That relieves the pressure, right? It's like a lot of bad things. Just because we don't know about them doesn't mean they're not happening. And the more we can expose them, and the more people that are exposed to the problem, the better chance we have of coming up with a solution, right? Not just me, not just the owner or the entrepreneur saying, I'm going to figure this out. It's a team approach. And sometimes, John, the solution would come from another client. The solution would come, not just the support, but the solution. Hey, I felt that way too until you did this. Remember? Oh, I can't believe we didn't get that on a checklist. We're going to implement that. And so the solutions came within the organization. It came from other clients. The willingness to be transparent with the feedback and face it head on as opposed to hide from it was one of the secrets to our success. And by the way, we had to get it wrong in order to get it right. And that's just another piece of the puzzle.
So we have a mutual friend, a client of yours who ended up hiring me, Carter Mario, who doesn't need encouragement to be outspoken. We love God. Come on, you had to have blocked him from this. I mean, this.
Yeah. He wasn't. No, he demands excellence, and by gosh, you better give it. He
gets it. Yeah, he delivers it, and he delivers.
That's right. That's what gives him credibility. He delivers it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Arnie, you've always been obsessed personally with reading. Then it became an obsession with you to make sure your employees read it. And like you said, you didn't care, what they were reading. You weren't saying you have to read this business book. And, I remember, from the first day walking in, your offices looked more like a library or a bookstore than they did, an advertising company. So now it's taking you to your newest business, which you've had for close to 10 years.
Well, it was a piece of our businesses before. I've only been focused on it here for the last 18 months, really, as a new business. But it was a process we made available to other firms kind of along the way.
And it's called
by the way,
Better Book Club.
Yeah.
Where, so tell us about that and whether it, how it worked in your business. But so many of my clients use the Better Book Club and just I think the best investment because of what they're getting back and the inspiration from their employees. So explain it.
Well, just like everyone, I started book club, try to get people to read the way all entrepreneurs did. We said, hey, I read this, you should read it. I'd buy 20 copies and hand them out. It didn't go well. It never goes well. Like book clubs within organizations where everyone's forced to read the same book over a specific period of time to then later find out what the boss thought of it, but not ever get to explain what they thought of it. Those are bad book clubs. We developed a better book club, which was read what you want, when you want, how you want. And when you do, I'm going to recognize and reward you for it. And so we built a platform to help us recognize and reward any team member that read any book that made them a better human being. And we did it in the form of dollars. So we would pay anywhere from $25 to $100 per book read. We let people earn up to $100 a quarter just by reading.
So I could read Harry Potter.
You have to read a book that makes you a better human. If we believe as an organization, Harry Potter makes you a better human, I'm all for it. But it's more like you're going to read some of the great books that you and I have read, nonfiction, from authors who've experienced business and can teach you about life, about raising your kids, about your finances, about having less anxiety, wellness, anything that makes you a better human, not to mention the management, the sales, the creativity, all the things that sort of can round out you as a human being. Anything not because I tell you to, but because it's something you want to learn. We recognize, we reward. We paid out about $12,000 a year just for people to read books. And people go, oh my God, that's a lot of money. John, you send one person to a conference in San Diego, it's flight, hotel, the fee. You're going to spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. They're going to go drink every night. Probably they don't remember anything from that conference. You never forget a book. You don't remember every word, but the concepts of a book are with you forever.
You just killed sales to my customer service revenue.
It is the greatest form of learning.
I agree. I love reading and I have to have a recorder because of the ideas. And sometimes the ideas have nothing to do with what the author just said, but it made me, go off into a rabbit hole of a great idea.
It's not what you read, it's how you think when you read,
yes.
Right? And then the conferences, to come back and plug your conference and so many great conferences that we go to, now they mean even more because of the building blocks, that you've set up. And so we set up this concept called Better Book Club, recognize and reward for reading. We built I talked about it for the very first time in front of your audience, and people just were overwhelmed by it. And so we built a platform that anyone could use. That platform is now about 4 years old, and we're months away from launching an all new platform that's going to make it even better. It's going to be gamified and it's going to be mobile.
Love it. And you've been had a booth. I've asked you to have a booth at my conference because I believe in it so much. And I believe, Arnie, correct me if I'm wrong, you did something really cool during the quarantine. And I believe you didn't charge your customers for a few months.
We went 3 months with no fees to our customers and said, it's not a lot of money, but it's what we can do, right?
But it's all your revenue.
100% of our revenue. It's 100% of our revenue. That's the type of person you are and the type of culture you build and why your customers and employees are so loyal to you. It's like your guest Jesse Cole said on your show back, right? It's the long game. Forget the short game. It's the long game. What can we do? How can we do it? And so many times we don't do stuff because we think it's too little, right? Just do it. Make it happen.
Little things matter.
Yeah. So that's our play.
So Better Book Club. I'm going to have a link to it as well as other things. How you get a hold of Arnie, culture consultant, his book. You got to get his book. I am not plugging this for him. This book is a game changer, worth doing wrong. And it's all about creating outstanding culture. All right, Arnie, I got to wrap up with a lightning round. These are tough questions. You may not be able to run for political office depending on how you answer it, or you may win depending on how you answer it. And you just got to come up with one-word answers. All right, ready?
I'll do my best.
I did not warn you. I did not send you these in advance. So You might sweat a little bit. Who is better, Superman or Batman?
Batman.
Wrong answer. Okay. Do you believe in the designated hitter or let the pitcher bat?
Let the pitcher bat.
Okay. What would your last meal be, assuming if like you were getting executed tomorrow? Like what is it? If what is that thing?
A burger and a cold beer.
Yeah. Okay. Long or short shower?
I go with medium. Sorry, it's
Okay.
medium, definitely.
Right. Hit snooze or jump up right away on the first alarm?
I'm up. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah. Best thing you've ever binge watched?
Oh gosh, that is tough. I'll go with Billions just because I can't think of anything else. I enjoyed Billions, but I enjoyed The Last Dance here recently. That was cool.
Yeah. All right, good. This will be an easy one for. Well, it might be a hard one because you're such a connoisseur. But favorite quote ever or right now? What's in your head?
I'm just going to keep going with yours, man. Culture reflects leadership. It's helped. It's changed my life. It's changed so many others in my life. And it works on sports teams. It works in schools. It works everywhere. And it's true.
Yeah. All right. Good. Best book you've ever read, or one that you've just read and just because I know that's a hard question. You've read so many.
Right. It's I just finished Brene Brown's Dare to Lead. It's fantastic, but the best book I've ever read depends on the category, right? Because there's too many in one place. And
Right.
Uncontainable is one of my favorite culture books. It's about the Container Store and the culture they built there, and it's just fun to read. And then the E-Myth is one that is kind of entrepreneurial. And then under marketing, like there's always a title like that's under a specific area. It's hard to be the one book because there's so many good ones.
All right, here's the last question. If I have you over and we're on my patio and I have the choices of the following scotches, I might not be saying it right. Balvenie,
yeah.
Balvenie, double wood 12, single barrel 12, single barrel 15. Which one are you choosing?
Well, you can't, after the first glass, those scotches are the same anyway. But yeah, Balvenie makes a great double flavored scotch. And it really is just a matter about the conversation that you're having, the view that you have, right? And the moment is so much more important than anything else. So what I enjoy most about that would be hanging out with you, John.
And of course, with the Balvenie, did I say it right?
Yeah.
I would have some good, I hope I say this right, Arturo Fuente Hemingway cigars.
Yeah. A great cigar.
Did I butcher that?
No, Arturo Fuente is a great cigar. Olivia is a great cigar. Any cigar you enjoy is a great cigar. And so, again, it just adds to the ambiance of the conversation or the view or the company that you're hanging out with.
Well, so I don't think I have to tell you, but I don't want any of our listeners to be impressed how well I know you.
Yeah.
Nicole had all that information on you. So I looked it up. I mean, it's scary how much stuff she has on you. If you saw it, the Ford family occupation, recreation, and dreams, you'd get a restraining order or something. I mean, I couldn't believe. I mean, I had so many more scotches that you like, Johnny Walker Blue, Johnny Walker Black, some more cigars that you like. I mean, it went on forever.
Hey, I'm an open book, and when I come see you, I want to make sure you have the stuff I like.
I know. You send the rider ahead of time, right?
That's right.
M&Ms, apples. That's right. Arnie, I love this. This already is one of my favorite podcasts ever. I can't wait till our revolutionaries get a taste of this. A lot of them are already familiar with you, obviously, because you're their favorite speaker of all time. But this is great stuff. The Worth Doing Wrong book is phenomenal. The Better Book Club is phenomenal. And just, honestly, God, you have inspired me to be a better person, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for all you've done.
John, thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me hang out with you. Look forward to every chance we get together. I learn and grow. You make me a better person, and I appreciate you for it.
Thank you, Arnie. All right. Thank you, revolutionaries. We would like to thank you for joining us for another episode of the Customer Service Revolution podcast. Please, if you haven't done so, subscribe to this podcast, the Customer Service Revolution, on the Apple Podcast app, Google Podcast app, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Also, please write a review and share this podcast with your colleagues, friends, clients, anyone you think would benefit from joining the Customer Service Revolution. And for anything else you may need, please visit our podcast homepage at tdg.click/podcast. Thank you, and we will see you next time.